Hello, welcome. I hope you're having a great day, Denali. Appreciate you stopping in. So we were having technical issues on Friday that we figured out how to resolve on Saturday, but that means that we didn't get to Friday's lesson. So for some reason, whatever, I don't know why, my phone has decided that in order for the continuity camera to work, it needs to be plugged in. The problem was I only had a 3-foot cable at the time, so I had to move my camera around, and it was not a great setup in my opinion. So now I have a longer cable, and hopefully this will actually be better with lower latency on the video, so maybe we'll see. Anyway, we're going to finish up section 3.1 finally. Do our lesson here on crescendos and decrescendos, and then rolls.
So in this lesson, I want to talk about crescendos and decrescendos. Now, these are very common dynamic tools that are used all the time in music. Now, the term crescendo is actually an Italian word, and it stands for increasing, which tells us to gradually increase the volume. Decrescendo is obviously decreasing, which means to decrease the volume gradually. Now, you'll hear crescendos and decrescendos all the time on the drums, through other instruments, through even vocals. It's very common. So what does a crescendo and a decrescendo look like? Well, if you look at a piece of sheet music, a crescendo is going to look like a bracket that starts at the point and opens up over a duration of time, just like this. Now, where the crescendo starts, you want to play as quiet as possible, and where the crescendo ends, you want to play as loud as possible. It's a ramp up in volume. It's not a curve, it's a gradual ramp up in volume. A decrescendo looks exactly the opposite and looks like this. You'll notice the wide opening at the beginning, and then it goes to a point towards the end, and that tells you to gradually decrease in volume. When you see a decrescendo, obviously start playing as loud as you can and slowly bring the volume down. So let's practice a few exercises just so we can become comfortable with what crescendos and decrescendos look like on paper, but also so we can start practicing actually changing the dynamic level with our playing. Here is what 1 bar of 16 looks like and what it would sound like with a crescendo. Let's play this at 80 beats per minute. 1 yenda, 2 yenda, 3 yenda, 4 yenda. So you'll notice with that exercise, when I got to the end of the bar, I had to drop my volume all the way back down to as low as I could, and you'll notice that there was a gradual increase. It was almost like a ramp up, like you're pushing a fader up. It wasn't like this. That's a very abrupt change in volume. We want to really gradually bring it up throughout the bar. And that's actually quite hard because your motions, the stick heights, and the velocity that you're playing is going to be a constant change every note you play. Now, this is a very useful tool that you can use in drum fills and grooves to transition from a quieter section to a louder section, for example, like a verse to a chorus, or the other way around, from a chorus to a verse, something like this. In fact, you might have actually already used a crescendo in your playing when you were doing a basic 8th note build fill from method level 1 or method level 2. All right, the opposite of a crescendo is a decrescendo, which we already talked about. So let me do exercise number 2, which is going to be the exact same as exercise number 1, but instead of ramping up the volume, we're going to bring the volume down. Let's do that with a click at 80 beats per minute. All right, let's move on to exercise number 3, where we're going to have a crescendo and a decrescendo in the same bar. The first half is going to build the volume, and the second half is going to lower the volume. Altogether, it's going to be up and down and up and down and up and down, and it's a really cool exercise. Let's give it a try at 80 beats per minute. you notice what I was doing is I was moving around on the snare because there's different elements of the snare drum where you hit that are going to be naturally quieter. So feel free to do that in your playing and really focus on the sound and bringing that volume up and back down again. It's actually a lot harder than you think. All right, let's move on to exercise 4 where we're going to play a fill that builds, all right? This is an 8-note fill. You've probably already played it before. We're going to play quarter notes on the bass drum and 8 notes on the tom and the snare. And the idea is to start as quiet as we can and bring that volume up so that we can crash into the next bar with energy. Here we go.
If you take out the bass notes, this is exactly the same as the drum buildup at the beginning of Don't Stop Believing by Journey. At the very beginning, right before it gets into that verse groove, it has, you know, a 2-measure buildup instead of, which is twice as long as that second one there.
At 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the tricky part to that last fill was making sure your bass drum also had dynamics too. You don't want to kick at the same volume if you're trying to build the volume up. Start quiet and gradually build the volume from there. Lastly, exercise 5, another fill. This time it's just 16th notes on the snare drum, very similar to the first exercise, only we're going to put it in a groove and fill context. Here we go at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you have it. Basic crescendos and decrescendos. There's not much to it, and it's very easy to spot these on sheet music because they're so big, they stand out, and they're either above or below the notation or the staff, depending on what piece of sheet music you're looking at. Now, the last thing I want to mention when you're talking about crescendos and decrescendos is to make sure you start as quiet as you can if you're building up a piece, or as loud as you can if you're bringing a piece down. And the reason why is if you start really, really quiet, it gives you much more range to work with so that you can really exaggerate that build from low volume to high volume or from high volume to low volume. So your assignment for this lesson is just to go through the 5 exercises we did, make sure you can play them. It's not about how fast you can play these. The idea behind these exercises is to really work on the dynamic difference and that gradual build, all right? Really work on how it sounds and how it feels. Because crescendos and decrescendos are pretty simple, there's no additional optional exercises for this, just the 5 that we have here. So get these under your belt, do them up to the suggested tempos, make sure they sound great, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
I feel like when it comes to dynamics, I'm pretty functional, but I feel like that's, you know, just barely hitting the bar. I feel like there's so much more I can achieve potentially getting better with dynamics. It's something that I'm always trying to practice too. It's just there's such a high ceiling for it, and it's hard to reach. But I think I did pretty good with that last exercise. That was like. So you can't see it, but this stick right here, it looks like it's been chewed on by a hamster for like a day. I don't know when it will break, but eventually the stick will fly off of this, or the tip will fly off of this stick. We just have to find out when. so they didn't include any extra ones on the practice sheet, just the ones in the video. All right, last section, rolls. What are we rolling?
All right, now because we're going to be learning a lot more about drum rolls in the rudiment section of this level and throughout the entire method, I want to talk a little bit about roll notation. Now in sheet music for drumming, we can use slashes to indicate a roll rather than actually notate every single note. It makes it cleaner and easier to read. So how roll notation works is you may see 1, 2, or 3 slashes through the stem of a note. 1 slash means you're going to play 1 note value higher, or basically just doubling the note value. For example, if you see an 8th note with a slash through the stem, you wouldn't just play an 8th note there, you would play 2 16th notes as a double, like this. Now 2 slashes through the stem means you're going to increase the note value by 2. So if you have 8 notes there, you're going to want to play 32nd notes, 4 notes for that 8th note. And if you see 3 slashes, you're going to need to increase that note value by 3. So for example, if you see a quarter note with 3 slashes through it, you would play double strokes as 32nd notes. Now this might sound confusing, and it's not meant to be. It's just a way to simplify what roll notation looks like.
To play that fast.
Now in music theory, where we get these slashes from is actually tremolo notation, which the technical term is when a note or a sound quivers or trembles. So we basically took that concept and applied it to drum notation. So take a look at this first exercise. You're going to see 8 notes with 1 slash through the stems.
Down on my mic.
Now remember, 1 slash means we're going to basically double that note value, and we're going to play it with 1 hand. So essentially, this bar of 8 notes is actually a bar of 16th notes played as a double stroke roll. Hope that makes sense for you. Let's give it a try together so it'll all become clear. Here we go. Now what I love about that exercise is if you actually watch my wrist, I'm still playing 8 notes with my wrist, but I'm just doubling those note values, which is why I really like slash notation. It makes it very easy for me to interpret what's going on and apply it to the drums. All right, number 2 is very similar, except instead of 1 slash, we're going to have 2 slashes through the stems, indicating that we're going to be raising the note value by 2. So if you see 8 notes on there, that means we're going to be playing 32nd note double strokes. It's going to sound like this. Here we go. All right, the next exercise, I'm not even going to play for you because it's the exact exercise as number 2. It's only notated differently. And again, we've talked throughout the Drumeo method that there are multiple ways to sometimes notate the same beat or the same pattern. And here's another example of that. So in this exercise, you're going to see there's 3 slashes through the stem, but we're talking about quarter notes here. So you're going to up the note value by 3, meaning you'd be playing a full bar of 32nd note doubles. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Again, the whole idea here is to just keep it simple and make sure that you know what a slash means through the stem. All right, let's move on to another exercise here. In number 4, you're going to see a mixture of regular 8th notes and 8th notes with slashes. Let's try this one together. 1, 2, 3, 4. See regular 8th notes, 8th notes with 1 slash, and 8th notes with 2 slashes. This means you're going to be playing 8th notes, 16th notes, and 32nd notes, all while only seeing 8th notes on the page. This is why I love roll notation or slash notation on the stems. Let's give this one a try. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't think I did that right.
Nice work. How did you find these?
Yeah. I don't think I did that one right. That one's going to take some practice. I don't see slashes very often in the sheet music that I've looked at. So maybe this is something I'll get more practice with later.
To the note value. So your assignment for this lesson is to work on all 5 of these exercises. Focus more on understanding the relationship between the slashes and the note values and how they look on page. You can also try some of the optional exercises below for some more practice. Once you're ready, you can move on to the next level. We're going to be talking about repeat signs. I will see you there.
I was doing kind of this in my warm-up with 8s and 16s, but I wasn't doing 30 seconds. So maybe I'll need to start doing 30 seconds when I play around with this exercise, when I'm just goofing around or doing a warm-up. Well, we finally get to move into section 4, I think. Nope, we got one more.
I want to take a minute to talk about repeat signs because I'm sure you've seen them already in some of the exercises or the assignments. I want to make you aware of them and to show how useful they are. Now in sheet music, we use symbols called navigation markings to help us know where to go in music.
Like a semicolon.
While we're not going to dive deep into all the navigation markings, at least until the later levels, I do want to introduce you to one that you should be aware of and one that we have already used. That is the repeat sign.
Or there's one that's in the middle.
Now repeat signs look like this.
So I've seen these done a couple of different ways. The 2 dots with what I was just talking about. I've also seen a symbol, I forget exactly how to describe it, but in the middle of an empty measure, that means to repeat the measure before it.
Do exactly what you think. They tell us to repeat a certain section of music. Pretty simple, right? So here's a 1-bar beat with a repeat sign at the end. When I get to the end of this bar and I see the repeat sign, that's a cue to go back to the beginning of that bar. Here's what that looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, sometimes there'll even be a little number over that repeat sign that tells you how many times you want to repeat it, but in general, when you see those 2 little dots at the start of a bar and at the end of a bar, that tells you to repeat that same bar. Now again, this is something you've already seen in level 2 of the Drumeo method. Maybe not in the PDFs if you're downloading the method notation, but if you actually use the interactive sheet music below the videos in the assignment section, you'll notice that every exercise has these repeat signs on them. And that's so the actual bar in the exercise will loop. So we don't include them in the notation that you see if you were to print off a PDF, but you will see them everywhere inside of Drumeo in the interactive sheet music.
It can turn that off too.
Now sometimes you'll also see a repeat sign at the beginning of a bar like this. This indicates where you need to go back to when you see the end repeat sign at the end of a bar. Now with only a 1-bar example, it seems a bit redundant like the one we just played, but they're actually very useful when dealing with more than 1 bar. Let's take a look at this 4-bar example. Here you're going to play through all 4 bars, but when you get to the end, you're going to notice a repeat sign at the end. So where do you go? You don't go back to the very beginning of the exercise, you go to where the start repeat sign was, which was on bar 3. Here is an example of playing this so you can see what I mean. Now, there are two other repeat signs that I want to talk about in this lesson. However, we're not going to see them within the method until later on. And that is the 1 bar measure repeat and the 2 bar measure repeat. The 1 bar measure repeat looks like this.
That's the symbol I was thinking of.
All that does is it tells you to
divide sign.
repeat the previous bar right before this measure. A 2 bar measure repeat looks like this, and it spans both measures, and it basically does the same as the last. It just tells you to play the last 2 bars before these 2 bars. Again, it's not that important right now because we're not going to see these in the method until later on, but it's something to be aware of. In a later level, we're going to talk about navigation markings in more depth, so you're going to see exactly how these work, along with some other important navigation markings that you should be aware of. There's no assignment for this section other than to understand what a repeat sign does and how they look like. You'll notice now, once you start looking at the exercises in the assignments for the Drumeo method and everything else inside of Drumeo, you'll see repeat signs everywhere. So understand what they look like, how they work. Then I'll pass things off to John Wooten, who will be working with you in the rudiment section of level 3. I'll see you later.
Oh, we're going back to Dr. Throwdown. Dr. Throwdown's going to make his big return. Remember, you got to slow it down so you can throw it down. All right, now we're finally getting into section 3.2. Yay. And I think we're going to be learning some more rudiments in this section. Don't forget to take a drink of water. Stay hydrated.
The 5-stroke roll. We learned the double stroke roll. Now we're going to break it down to different lengths of rolls. The first short roll we're going to play is the 5-stroke roll. This is actually the shortest on the rudiment list. We call it the 5-stroke roll. Guess why?
5 hits.
There's 5 notes.
How about that?
5 notes. 2 diddles and then a tap at the end. So you can play it either right, right, left, left, right, or left, left, right, right, left. 5
I've actually
notes.
practiced this one
5-stroke
before.
roll. And I would definitely suggest playing.
Some of these I've already practiced before because I have a book called Stick Control, which I mentioned before, and it has a bunch of rolls in it to practice, all the way up to, I think, it had a 17-stroke roll. But yeah, this was one of the ones that I practiced from messing with that book.
Very slow first. Take it very slow and work on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let it bounce. See how relaxed I am? We didn't talk about this a lot, but make sure you're sitting up straight, you're nice and relaxed, and the sticks are bouncing.
Good
1,
posture.
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're going to play this at a couple different tempos. I want you to play with me. The first one is 70 beats per minute. You got your sticks and your pad? You don't? Okay, hang on. Hit pause. We'll wait. We're not going anywhere. Get your sticks and your pad. Ready, go. And we're back. Okay, we're going to play them as 16th notes. So it's going to be 1 E and a 2,
this one shows sticking.
3 E and a 4. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. We're going to alternate. Very important to start with your left. I know if you're right-handed, it's not so easy to start with your left.
It does
But you
take
must
a lot
learn to
of
be
practice on
ambidextrous. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready and play and. So it's right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the 5-stroke roll. But if you're having problems with the doubles, it's okay to buzz at first, to get used to bouncing the stick. If you play it like this, buzz, buzz, tap, buzz, buzz, tap, buzz, buzz, tap.
That's exactly how I
buzz,
learned how to
buzz,
do
tap.
double stroke roll.
And then slowly loosen up on the grip so it becomes more of a bounce. Buzz, buzz, tap.
That's exactly how I learned how to do
tap,
double stroke.
And loosen up, loosen loosen up, let it bounce, let it bounce. All right, let's try it a little faster. Let's go to 100 beats per minute.
Ooh.
1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. We have been playing this as 16th notes. You could play a 5-stroke roll. The note value can change. It could be 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3, like that. Or 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. Or normally, double stroke rolls are thought of as 30-second notes most of the time. Not always. All right, so it'd be, if it's 1 EN, 2 EN, 1 EN, 2 EN, 1 EN, 2 EN. So we double each 16th note and then tap the last one. Double, double tap, double, double tap. That's a 5-stroke roll. So here's a little exercise I show to my students, and I tell them, I want you to play this 5-stroke roll as a single-stroke roll with a double-stroke sticking. That doesn't make any sense? Well, I think it does, because I want your double strokes to sound just like your single strokes. So we're going to do a little exercise where we're going to play them as single strokes and then as double strokes.
Oh, I do this
So what I'm going to do
all the time.
is I'm going to play a 5-stroke roll, single stroke on the right hand twice, and then twice as a double stroke. Then we're going to switch to the left hand. Start with the left hand, single strokes twice, and then double strokes twice. We're going to do this fairly slow, so just play along with me. 1, 2, digga digga dot, ready, go. All right, so that's 5-stroke rolls. That's a couple of cool exercises you can practice with. Master these rolls, master the 5-stroke roll. You're going to use it in a lot of different drum set applications. On the hi-hat, snare drum, the toms, I'm just thinking on the rims. I can't, times I've used 5-stroke rolls on all parts of the drum set. You're going to use this one over and over and over again. Okay, so your assignment for this lesson is to work on the 5-stroke roll, get it at least at up to about 80 beats per minute. And then these 2 exercises. Work on them slow. You can bump up the tempo gradually, but don't be in a hurry. Get it solid. Make sure your doubles sound like your singles. All right, 5-stroke roll, so important. You're going to use it. Oh my gosh, this is a good one. Have fun.
Yeah, I already knew how to do that one, but that's a fun one to do. It just, the flow of it feels fun. Ooh.
The 5-stroke roll. Did you hear the 5-stroke roll in that groove? All right, so that's just a 16th note groove on the hi-hat, and on the end of 4, I threw in a 5-stroke roll using 32nd notes. Okay, and then backbeats on 2 and 4 on the snare, and just that funky little bass drum part. Okay, so we're going to play this in just a second, but we got to count. So it's 1, 3. On the end of 4, you got the 5-stroke roll. All right, so, and then we'll add the bass drum. So play this with me. Here we go.
Its hi-hat lower than mine.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to pause it and practice it for a second. Man, this is hard. He had to throw in that tricky bass thing there to mess everything up. It's hard to get the angle right. My hi-hat is kind of high because of the kind of music I play. I usually want to hit on the edge of my stick, but this means I need to hit on the tips of my stick, so I got to raise my hands higher than or like way higher than usual. I'm gonna get this groove though. That bass pattern is getting me. That's hard. I think I'm getting it down, but that is tricky. I think I got it down, though. I think I got it.
One, two, three, four. Okay, so that's a slow tempo, and it's a little difficult to control doubles.
We learned
at that
something
tempo.
today.
Actually, but you need to learn it slow. It's real important. You learn it slow and then just pick up the speed. You'll find that it's maybe even easier as you pick up the speed a little bit. Okay, so that's a nice little groove using a 5-stroke roll. So a fill with a 5-stroke roll. You can use 5-stroke rolls in many ways, but for now we're going to do a 5-stroke roll starting on 1 on the snare drum, 3, 4, on 2 starting on the tom, and then again on 3 on the snare drum, and then a 16th note 5-stroke roll going floor tom, tom, cymbal. It's really easy. Check it out. Listen. Go. And then the crash. Okay, so what I noticed right away, and what you got to be aware of, is when you play rolls on the toms, it's going to feel very, very different
Not
than
near
playing
as
a roll
bouncy
on
as
the
the
snare.
snare.
So the doubles are going to feel different. You have to work a little harder when you go to the tom. It doesn't bounce as much. The head's probably a little looser. And when you go to the floor tom, it's really loose. Okay, so you're going to have to use your fingers, your wrist. Don't be lazy. Right? I'll do it one more time. 3, 4. Okay, so let's play that a rock groove for one measure. Play the fill, back to the rock groove, back and forth. Do it 4 times. Play it with me. Here we go.
Okay. I think I got it.
Here's another fill. We're going to keep the 16th notes going. So we're just going to play it all on the snare drum with a little tom fill at the very end. So the roll, the 5-stroke roll, is going to come in on 1 and then on 3. And then 4, E, and 1 on the crash for the very end. The last 4 notes.
Okay.
Okay, so it goes, the whole thing goes like this. 2, 3, and... And let's put the bass drum on the 5-stroke roll too. So it's going to be on 1 and 3 as well. So add the bass drum. Okay? All right, let's play a different groove. We're going to play a 16th note groove on the hi-hat like we were doing earlier, but without the 5-stroke roll. We're going to do the 5-stroke roll during the fill. Okay? So play it with me. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go.
You can give it more to practice here than just the roll. It's the bass pattern. This is tricky. This is tricky. That second or that third bass hit in the third beat is messing me up. hard to even think about doing the fill because the groove is getting me. This is really, really hard. And what makes it hard is, you see those bass doubles right there. It starts out on the right hand in the hi-hat pattern. So right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And then on the next right. So it's like right. It's really hard to even demonstrate. I always want to do the bass on that first hit, and it's not correct. This is really hard. I'm going to try doing the whole thing kind of slow, though, so let me see. I didn't do the bass hit. This is one that I'm going to have to put a decent bit of practice into. You know, I think I'm not even going to finish this lesson today. I'm going to spend more time working on this pattern off stream so that I am ready to continue when we come back to this on Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and just do some jamming now, though, because there's only like 15 minutes left. Now, I'm going to try to show off my progress with the song I've been practicing, but I'm not going to do it to the music track. I'm just going to try to do the drum part isolated. I guess I'll need to turn the iPad view back on. I guess I'll try it at 100% speed, but I don't think that the ending is going to sound quite as good as the rest of it, but I'll try it anyway. That one fill is kind of messing me up, but the rest of the outro went better than I expected. So making progress on that. I still got work to do on it before I can try to record a cover of it, but definitely making good progress, I think. Try to get copyrighted. Well, that was pretty fun. I think I got time for like one more song before I end the stream. I managed to sneak a couple of those 5-stroke rolls in there. I tried a few times. A couple of them messed up. That's okay. Because, you know, you just got to remember that. Drums are hard. Music is hard. Be kind to yourself and go practice. And then hopefully come back on Wednesday at the same time to see my progress with that one part and to continue the Drumeo method. Have a great evening.